My co-host Anthony Sia will take it away from me. Mr. Sia.
Mr. Dennis Jar, thank you. And folks, you heard it right there. My name is Anthony Sia, co-hosting today on this Primetime Sunday. Today, again, is our Primetime Sunday show, and we have in the house Mr. D. Flo Flomo and Mr. Benjamin Kofa Fanier, two outstanding gentlemen here that we brought in for you as our panelists or guests to discuss the topic, the CDC. Today, the focus is on the CDC. The CDC as a political party, the CDC now as a ruling party, the good, the bad, and the ugly. That is what we have brought them in for them to discuss. The two of them are all set, and we will get started. At this time, we want to say welcome to all of you in cyberspace for joining us here at Focus on Liberia. As you have joined, or as always, we will ask you to hit the share button so that others can also have the opportunity to be part of this conversation. We will now welcome our guests, starting with Mr. D. Flo Flomo. D. Flo, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you, folks. Thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure to be in a public debate with any Liberian that I truly believe in the emerging democracy of our country. And being a talk show host, I come here. I believe in myself that I can make the case against this broke former soccer player called Josh Manawia. On the back, my name is D. Flo from Momolu. I'm the lead host with Liberia Destiny Debaters. Thank you for the invite.
Again, the man D. Flo there, who is the host of the Liberian Destiny Debaters. This is the business he does best, and he's here to battle in this this conversation about the CDC with the man Benjamin Kofa Fanier, who is a long-time standing member of the CDC. Ben, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Yes, I want to say thank you. Thanks for the opportunity, and thanks to all of you guys who are in the background making this thing possible. But let me say this: my brother D. Flo is a very good man, and I think I told you last time you called me. We talked a few weeks ago on the phone. But you see, I want my approach to this. My approach to it would be having a dialogue, because I always say this: when it comes to issues about Liberia, we as Liberians, I don't see us as winners or losers. I see it as what I would term as a constructive dialogue between Liberians, because no one group or no one individual or organization has the monopoly over what is the right thing or what we classify all the solutions. So these dialogues are healthy. I will kind of say thank you once again, and I hope that some of these constructive dialogues will be repeated so that people can dialogue constructively and try to find solutions to some of the many problems that we face. So thank you, and I'm happy to be here.
All right, Ben Finn, right there, say a few words. At this time, folks, we will go into our conversation. We want to remind you of our topic. It is the CDC as an opposition and now a ruling party. The good, the bad, and the ugly as opposition then, the good, the bad, and the ugly now as a ruling party. That is why we have brought these two outstanding gentlemen to discuss. And so we will now start with the CDC as then an opposition party.
Before you get there, Mr. Sia, I want to welcome everyone on Focus on Liberia. Just a quick reminder that, and I want us to get this clear, that Liberians, the bill, the Liberian Refugee Immigration Fairness Act has been signed. And what that means is any Liberian who came in this country without permanent resident status since November 20, 2024, you are eligible to apply for permanent resident status for a period of 1 year. So you have 1 year from now on to December to be able to regularize your status. We want to repeat that message. We have two outstanding lawyers on the show at different times, explaining what that means. So we want Liberians to take advantage of it and want to use this platform to remind Liberians and to promote that. So that's very key. We have lawyers that are available. You can contact us, or we have lawyers who came on the show to promote that, so that you know what you're doing, so that you will be able to get your resident or your green card. And it also goes to your children, because the law is very flexible with us. It's a gift, because if you have children, it did not specify, and you can contact your lawyer, it did not specify that your children should be in the country before November 2014. So that's a good law. So let's take advantage of that. That's a message from us at Focus on Liberia to all our Liberian brothers and sisters in the USA. And before we start again to the show, the CDC as an opposition party and also as a ruling party, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Our flyer carried Mr. Ben Faniye as a current member of the CDC, and also Mr. D-Flo Flomo Momolu as a former member of the CDC. Right under the flyer, there was a challenge that Mr. Flomo has never been a part of the CDC. So before we even begin, I want Mr. D-Flo Flomo to clarify that whether he was ever a member of the CDC or not before we go forward.
Thanks again, folks. Folks in Radio Land, I want to take this time to say, lend me your ears. I come here to expose Josh Oponwia and the CDC, but not to praise them. For the sake of this conversation, I would like to make it very clear. A few months ago, I was sitting in my corner. I began to get a call, from a messenger call from an unknown number, which I did not know. I said unknown. So all of a sudden, because I don't like to pick up unknown calls, for the sake of this conversation, a friend of mine had called me. He said, Samuel Toy was calling. Somebody was calling you. She said, Samuel Toy was calling you, D-Flo. Like, Samuel Toy calling you. Can you pick up the number? He wants to talk to you. I said, but why he wants to talk to me about? Why is he calling me on the messenger? We are not friends on Messenger. We are not friends on Facebook. So he said to me, well, he wants to talk to you on a serious matter. So can you please allow me to, should I give him your number? Because his name is V. Musa Fofana. He lives in Minneapolis. Currently, he works at the Ministry of Finance with Samuel Toy. So I said, okay, give him my number. Let me see what he wants to say. To to go back a little bit, Toy spent some time in Minneapolis. So I got to know Toy from just by being a friend to this guy called V. Musa Fofana, who used to live in Brooklyn Center, right off Highway 94, on the Highway 94 there. So fast forward, he gave him my number so Minister Toy called me. And from up the back, Minister Toy began to tell me that, D-Flo, we need you. I said, what do you need me for? He said, we need you because we know what you have done in the diaspora over the years when Sali was in power. And being my friend, I thought it wise that to get to you because the elections are over in Liberia. And again, I know what you bring to the table. You are not, I just said to myself that, okay, I'm not smart. What is this guy calling me? He's smarter than me, right? So he said, I want us to have a discussion. So he went on to tell me that the party CDC really needs my assistance in the diaspora, that they were getting a lot of hits from Liberians in the diaspora from the opposition camp. So the leader is somebody who could come out and punch in the opposition in a way that with experience. So I said, okay. But then he called me from the airport. They were on their way to Israel. So I'm like, okay, there's noise coming back from the back there. Where are you? He said, oh, we are on our way to Israel. I'm at the Rabat International Airport.
D-Flo, so, if I may, this was a yes or no question, or exactly telling us whether you are a member of the CDC or not, or former member or not, or if you are just affiliating, only a supporter. Just be clear so that we can go into today's conversation.
No.
Mr. Steer.
All right. Folks in cyberspace, now that D-Flo has cleared the air, and if you have not heard D-Flo before, I have listened to him. He made it clear at some point he joined the CDC. And after he joined the CDC, he went to Liberia to see for himself. And then he got to know the opposite. And he came back, he apologized to the Liberian people on his show. D-Flow even shared some tears. And since then, he has been on a political mission to expose the CDC. So D-Flow is no longer a member of the ruling party as we speak. But guess who is? Ben, and he's here to discuss. And so, folks, we will start our conversation starting with the man, Benjamin Kofa-Fanette. Ben, the CDC was in opposition, and people always like to call the number 12 years. In 12 years, your role as a party, you want to share with us the good, the bad, and the ugly of the CDC to the best of your knowledge at the time it was in opposition. We'll give you guideline. Talk about the CDC ideology, what you saw or you know to be bad, good, and ugly. Talk about the leadership, the membership, the political activities, conflict resolutions, things that to the best of your knowledge, were good, bad, and ugly.
Thank you, sir, for the opportunity. Like you said, 12 years is a very long time. I encountered the CDC sometime around 2009. I've been hearing about the CDC, so I wasn't one of the originators, but I encountered it around 2009. And I like the concept of the organization because I look at the CDC not as a political institution, but as a mass movement, especially so one that comprises of almost the totality of Liberians. You talk about ethnicity and every shade of Liberians is, they are accounted for within the canopy of the CDC. You said 12 years. I will tell you this, my brother. From what I have seen from the time that I've been there, and those are one of the things that people who know me will tell you, what I have been advocating for and what I didn't see happening up to now was erection of certain key structures. Because in every organization, there should be a drive towards ensuring that the organization is bigger than individuals. That's why when you work in institutions here, they have policies, they have guidelines that everybody is subject to, whether you are the CEO or whether you are the maintenance guy. So when I joined, and let me just tell you about the days in opposition. In 2010, I kind of proposed that there should be a consideration of what I call a shadow government. Because I based that on the fact that I observe how England is administered. The opposition have a shadow government. What this does is you identify competent people with key skill set, and you make them responsible for certain areas. Say like you have agriculture, you have health, you have education. You identify competent people so that when there are any issues regarding those specific areas, you have people with the requisite expertise coming up and speaking. I think that would have been good because, like you said, for 12 years, if those people were in those roles, they would have been more knowledgeable, they would have gained more experience. So by the time after we won the election, it would have been an easy transition for them. That is one thing. And also, I was concerned about the structure because, in Liberia, and this is not something about the CDC. In Liberia, politics is not ideological. Somewhere you have people who are Republican, Democrat, they have ideology. In Liberia, it's not like that. In Liberia, it's just a mass movement of people. So there's no clear-cut ideology. My concept was, how can we have institutions within the party that can withstand the test of time? It's like I can take anybody to those institutions if I feel wrong. I know we have some internal administrative bodies, but the thing that I have noticed in opposition as well as nines, I don't see the effect. You see, when things happen that should be thoroughly investigated and some people should be held accountable, I don't see those institutions, those internal institutions being as strong, independent, or effective enough. So those are some of the things that I kind of identify, and I think that it needed addressing. One of the other things that I noted was the flow of information. I wasn't too happy because I am trained in terms of managing information. So I wanted for there to be a central pool from which the information will be relayed to outlet or to sources so that everybody will be saying the same thing. Because at one point we had people going on TV, people going on radio saying different things, and we had that kind of a confusing output. I mean, we can even see that now with the things that happen in Liberia. We have one spokesman come and say one thing, the other spokesman come and say another thing. So I think if the outflow of information is managed in a way where it comes from one source and everybody else is just repeating what that source initially put out, that would be good. And one of the other, the last thing I was trying to advocate for was the education of our partisans. It's not like school. What I'm saying is that whatever activities we are engaged in, I wanted us to have ground rules. I wanted us to have guidelines. If we're going to protest, there should be a guideline. If there should be some instruction, like if we go out there, if some people try to provoke us, let's react in this way. I wanted some kind of education, some kind of guideline so that people can know how to conduct themselves even when we are out there. And I see that at some point, some of those things were trying to be incorporated, but I wanted an effective and robust system so that there can be structures, that can be clearly defined structures so that people can know that there are guidelines here and there are things like that. So those are some of the things I observed.
So Ben,
yeah.
Before I go to D-Flow, will you think the ideology then was good, bad, or ugly of CDC?
Well, I will say this: the lack of a specific ideology caused a lot of confusion because in other parts of the world you are either a Marxist, you are a socialist, communist, or whatever isms you are. There are structural layout of those ideologies, so you know what your end game is. You know what you are looking forward to. But the CDC.
So are you trying, Ben, excuse me, are you trying to say that the CDC ideology all along has not been defined?
No, it is a democratic institution. But the thing is, under that, they have a driving ideology, like something that everybody believes in. Democracy is good, but there should be a driving force behind that. And that's what I didn't see.
All right, let's come to the membership. The CDC, in terms of membership.
Hold on, Mr. C. Let's go to D-Flow. We'll come back to Ben because it looks like Ben is talking about we didn't hear the good.
Yeah.
So let's get D-Flow to come in.
My brother just admitting to what they say behind the scene. Most of these guys sometimes they will confess publicly.
Just say your own. Forget about what they say behind the scene.
Yeah, well, Malba Molu will know what he said behind publicly. So it's a Cindy Ben is doing. He's speaking publicly that he's not speaking of the good because Jowia and the CDC have nothing to call good in Liberia other than Muya or Sakamo tree. Absolutely nothing can prove that. But let me quickly help you. If you put a man on the ballot who was a soccer player, ill-prepared, incompetent, presented him to the Liberian people as the Messiah, and Liberians are people who vote for people based on love for country, handsomeness, celebrity, not on political ideologies. This is exactly what you get. So there is nothing good about Jowia and the CDC. Absolutely nothing good about the Georgia and the CDC. This is my reason why I said there's nothing good about the Georgia and the CDC. You have a political party that spent 12 years in an opposition. The people knew very well that Georgia was completely off when it comes to English. They did not spend time to educate him, to broaden his mind, to learn basic English skill, for him to have basic English skill when he speaks to the public. For example, a political leader of a major political party in a campaign, he said people needs, people wants, people does. Economic, he goes on to say, you cannot support scarcity. When things are short on the market, you reduce it. The people did not see, they saw these things in him, but they did not try to correct them. So his economic policy is the same thing that what he said on Kerry Street is what is unfolding in Liberia. Scarcity, he cannot support it.
We'll get to the ruling part, but the 12 years opposition, if you say you see nothing good, just tell us why during those 12
I don't see anything good because
Excuse
when you
me.
are in an opposition, before you go to a ruling party, you have to prepare your leader, the major leader of the political party, meaning the Senate bearer. They saw in Georgia incompetency. They did not prepare him. They knew very well, they know that Liberia is a country where the people vote, they do not vote on competency. So they saw it that it was not necessary. Let's throw him on the back of the end. So they did not prepare that part. To go for it.
Can I react a little bit?
You talk, I didn't say a word. I didn't say fine. My people are scared.
I know, I want to say
no, fellow Librarians, I come here.
Hold on.
I come here not to praise Georgia and the CDC. I come here to expose them. I come here to expose them because it is no time for us to hide these things under the rug, because they will hurt the country in the long run. They will hurt the country in the long run. Let's take that example. People said to the Liberian people during the campaign that Georgia had $88 million in the bank. Who is a rich man, but his house was leaking? Who have you ever heard a rich man with $89 million in the bank did not build a zinc house in Gibraltar, did not zinc one person's house in Gibraltar, but as soon as they get him the mantle or authority, what did he do? Started to use the people's money. So look, there is nothing good about the CDC. You should have spent their 12 years to educate this man, to grow him.
No, I want to react a little bit.
Okay, thank you.
You see, I want to say this. My brother D-Flow, I think he's using the wrong yardstick in terms of the measurement of success. I will tell you this. There were lots of success. Let me give you one key one. Before the advent of the CDC, we had major political actors and major political parties in Liberia. The CDC was formed late, I would say 2004. But I think D-Flow should accept the fact that this party came from nowhere, organized by young Liberians, and grew up in a space of no time to become the most dominant political entity in Liberia. That alone is an achievement. I don't know how D-Flow see that, but that is a major milestone. This party came from nowhere, formed by few young people in a space of 1 year, turned out to be the most dominant political party in Liberia. And I will tell him this, during the 2004 election, CDC initially went in that election as a single entity. It took a combination of other political parties with the UP. Even up to today's day, the result of that election is contested. So I would say, if you say there was no success, I would respectfully disagree, because that alone is a success. And let me tell him another one. For the fact that George Weah was able to manage or to be the face of this entity from 2004, 2005 up to 2017, where they won an election. I would tell him this. That is a major achievement. You know, he can talk about the other aspects, but that alone is a major achievement. Let D-Flow come up with any comparative analysis in terms of another political institution that have achieved such. He won't find any. So, you know, you can't just write it off like that. There has been major achievement in this party. Number one, this party from 2005 to when they won the last election, they have played the role of the major political opposition party in Liberia. We have to recognize that. We have to recognize that. So there's a saying about blanket, you know, there will be no successes. I choose to respectfully disagree. And let me just say one last thing before I give the floor back to him. And you see, it is good when we discuss George Weah. It is good to also back our discussion up with pieces of evidence. You know, it's easy for us to come here and say, well, George Weah was broke, he didn't have enough money, he didn't have anything. Fair enough. But where are the documentation or where are the facts to back up our claim? I'll tell you this. I will tell you this. George Weah played football for how many years in Europe? And we all know, we all heard about the contracts he was signing here and there. I think without any verifiable proof or any documentation, if somebody just come out here and say, well, he was broke, he had no money, you know, all those would sound very good, but let the person who's saying that back that up with documentation. Because you know, sometimes it might just be a rumor, and we do not want to use this forum, this I would say once in a lifetime opportunity we have tonight, you know, to say things that are not accurate.
Ben,
So,
Ben,
go
let me
ahead.
interject. Why if someone from what you're saying,
Yeah.
the assumption here is that you don't believe what D-Flow is saying that at some point that Mr. Weah got broke. So the fact that you don't want to hold that belief that he got broke at some point, it equally means that you hold the view that he had money all along. So can you also prove it, just as you are asking D-Flow to prove it that he was broke?
I can, if you give me a second, I can go and print a bunch of newspaper articles that showed you how much money George Weah was signed, how much he signed contract, football contract. So unless you want to tell me he threw all that money away, unless that's what you want to tell me. But there are newspaper documentation that show that all the major clubs he signed for and how much he actually got. These are documented. The newspaper stories. You're not hating?
All right, Ben, let do this.
Yes, go ahead.
Somebody like you who has been in the United States, been working, you take pay every month. There are times you realize that you don't have money in your account even though you've been taking paid every 2 weeks. It happened. So signing contracts here and there during the period he plays football, it's not a guarantee that he managed to save all that money, but that is not the basis of the conversation, Mile. Let's look at, we want to identify the
Can I interject? Can I rebuttal?
and the ugly. Yeah.
Can
We
I do a
want to
rebuttal?
identify the good and the bad. One of the good things you pointed out, you said, oh, CDC came to the scene in no time or in less than 2 years, I mean, within 12 years, they won the presidency. Let's look at the LPP, the UPP. These parties have been around. Even the Liberian Action Party, they did not get it. CDC got it, and you are saying that is a success. All right, I gave that to you. But we want to know, in terms of conflict resolution throughout that 4-year period, leadership crisis and all that, what would you say? Will you say that was good, bad, or ugly? Because we are reminded about George Solo, who came to the play and left. We know how he left, and many other leaders in the CDC.
Okay, well, I want to say this. You know, that is a very key point that you raised. Even myself, I've been through some, what I would say, some conflicts with some individual within the organization. But let me tell you this. You see, one of the major problems with Liberia and Liberians is a false sense of self-worth. You know, what here they will call it egos. And that's what I mean, that's what initially I told you that my problem was with the structures in the party. The party has ethics and grievance, committee. But my thought of that was I wanted that outfit to be strengthened, to be strong enough, so that whatever decision they take will be acceptable. I mean, to everybody. You raise a good point. Conflict, not only resolution, but conflict management. I think we need to do a little bit more work on it. If you look at some of those things that we are doing right now as we speak, next month, this party, because of some of the advocacy that some of us have been doing, there is a major retreat next month, whereby CDC and who felt aggrieved, those who left, they were asked to congregate so that we can reconcile. Because I tell you this, my brother, conflict, no matter what, even in heaven, there will be conflict there. But like you said, conflict management and resolution, we need to work on that. We need to
use, last question, we got to go to D-Flow. Will you say that has been good, bad, or ugly?
I would say more work needs to be done in that area.
Ben, I ask you a question. Are you not prepared to use the word good, ugly, or not?
I would say good and ugly.
All right, thank you. D-Flow.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, let me go to D-Flow, because D-Flow, you came and said something like blanket, nothing good about the CDC. The reason a political party is formed is, first of all, to compete, right? To compete. So in that 2005, won the first round. 2011 won the first round. 2017 won the first round, eventually became president. The CDC was the major opposition, doing all the protests and everything that kept the government feet to the fire. How do you say that the CDC, there's nothing good?
Look, my brother, politics is quite a different thing, right? You can win an election, but governance is more important than winning.
Not governance.
If you don't have a strategy in governance the nation, you have gained nothing. You can win a soul and lose the whole entire world. You can win an election, after a few years, you become a tyrant. You become a dictator. You begin to, your popularity begin to sink. So in the case of Georgia, it's exactly what we see. It's a political party that won the election by, according to my brother Ben here, they won 2005. But even if they had given the country to Georgia 2005, it would have been more bad, because at the time,
that's not my question.
Just keep a civil war.
That's not my question.
Yeah.
Forget governance after the winning. I'm talking within the 12 years as a political party. You say there's nothing good. If you say nothing good, they are winning elections. They have a mass base, and they are holding the government accountable. Will you not give it to them as a...
No, my brother, I cannot give them anything, because we have a society where majority of the people are just like Georgia.
I disagree.
Yeah, majority of the voters we have in Liberia, they vote not on issues. They vote for Georgia because I like the man. Why are you going to vote for him? I like him. Oh, the man came apart. He came apart. I will vote for you. That is the society we have. So let me tell you something. Look, we come here to expose this president that I supported for the good of the country. I do this not for hate for Georgia. I do this because I love Liberia more than an individual, which is Georgia. The nation comes first in my mind. So I do this not out of hate. I would have stayed in the CDC and continue to accept money or take money from Samia Toe, who was the head of the group that came to talk, that encouraged me to join the CDC. I would have stayed there. But I did this and left them because for the fact that I love my country more than Georgia. Not about hate. Not about hate. This is not about hate. This is about why did they win the election, and within 2 years, the whole country has become chaotic. There's protests everywhere, almost every day, some of which are not reported. Clinics are closing. Hospitals are closing. Kids are out of school.
D-Flow.
Yes.
Diflo, we will get to the governance aspect of it. The segment we're in now is CDC then as an opposition party. We want to know the good, the bad, and the ugly. At the time,
there is no good about CDC. The only good thing you can say is that CDC brought in a man who had an ambition to become president, but not prepared.
Diflo.
Ambition, but not prepared.
Diflo, let me say this. In this disco, we need to exhibit intellectual honesty. The CDC, I am not a fan. I can tell you that. I am not a fan. But in politics, sometimes they say the end justifies the means. CDC came in the political field. 12 years later, they won elections.
Absolutely.
That is a success. I mean, we must first acknowledge that. They
Okay,
had a
but
success.
let me ask you this
with
question.
it.
What
Yeah,
could does say bring to the table when a man gets a master's degree, but he speaks in the public, he's speaking his poor English.
Right.
Success but bad output. You call that success in
But
politics?
I just want us to acknowledge that in the space of 12 years, for them to have won more seats in the House of in the legislature compared to any other political party within that time frame, let's give it to them. Now, that does not mean that in terms of governance, they have been doing a good job. Let's admit that they succeeded in getting a lot of people elected at the first branch of government, and they got the presidency. Let's establish that. But then when we come to governance, we can say that, no, they're not there, or they are not there yet.
But when you speak of success, when I speak of success of a political party, will be in a turn for the man to say the party won but had a strategy to govern the state. Okay. But which CDC did not put in place. That is not success. You won an election, but you have lost the populace vote. You have lost the people that voted for you are angry. That is not success in politics. It does not work in politics.
Mr. Anthony, let me say something, please.
All right, go ahead.
You see, there's a popular misconception out there that I want to just throw light on this. A lot of people will come out and say, my brother Diflo just said it again. They said, oh, CDC had no plan. They have no plan. Let me tell you this. Since 2009, I've been the Chief Information Technology Officer of the CDC. CDC had the agenda for transformation in 2011 when they went to that election. And CDC was the only political institution that had an agenda, that had a platform. In the last election that just happened, we had a detailed platform called Hope for Change. What I'm telling you,
that is a phrase.
Excuse me. No, that was the title of the agenda. It is on the CDC. You can go to cdcliberia.org. You will see that document there right now. I put it there. So there's a misconception that these people have no plan and no agenda. They just want to know. CDC is the only political party in Liberia now, as we speak, that since 2005 they have a website, a functioning website. What I'm telling you, the agenda from 2005 is there. The agenda for 2011 election, the platforms. But people say there's no plan. The agenda for 2017 election is there. I put them there. It's documented there online. So when people come out with this thing and say, oh, hold on, sir. Let me just say, there's no plan. I think there's a misunderstanding because people assume that people who align with CDC probably are not smart or they're from the lowest sorts. And let me just give you one more thing. As we speak today, people are talking about, there's no plan for the economy, but nobody talks about government is continuity, and some people don't have a clear understanding of how the economy works. You know, the economy don't just go bad in 1 year or 2 years. There are systemic shocks that begin, and what you are experiencing now is what you call the aftershocks. Some people don't even know the framework, the fundamentals of the Liberian economy. But they say, oh, they're weird, they're weird, they're weird. If somebody is saying that, I want them to give me facts. But let me say this: one of the things that most people don't grip with for almost I would say 9 years. And a lot of people don't take this into consideration. The budget of Liberia rose from 300 million plus to like 500 million for that 9 years period. And UNMIL had a budget of 650 million every year. Let's say this, they are not spending all in Liberia. Let's say even if they are spending half of that, you talk about another 300 million being used in Liberia to purchase goods and services.
All right, man.
No, let me just end there.
That's the government component of it. We'll get to it. We'll get to the government component of it. We just wanted to look at the CDC as an opposition party. Let's talk one live point on it, and then we can move to the next segment, CDC as a ruling party. There were activities that CDC carried on. Protests having to be maybe pretty much their signature political activity at the time. And then the leadership of CDC at the time and during their opposition period. Let's talk about those. You think you will consider the leadership structure, and DFLO, you start on this one, okay? Their political activities, the leaders in the party, both here in the US and even those in Liberia. How will you rate them? Good, bad, or ugly? You can do some analysis there.
The guys in the diaspora from Azevat Tupa, Atos Zakaman, Joseph Tamba Jackson, the hurricane of the party in the diaspora. I spent a lot of time with them hosting them on Liberia Destiny Debaters. And my kudos to these guys. They put everything into CDC to make Joria, to present Joria to the Liberian people as the last man standing, as the Messiah. But as I said, this is not personal hate for Joria. I love my country more than Joria. And for that, I must always do the right thing. Make a call when it's necessary. But when you look at a party like CDC that built from a grassroots movement, brought in a man, presented him to the Liberian people as again the last man standing, they did not have a strategy. But yet instead, I gave them credo though. I gave them respect. Because as a Vatupa, I spent a lot of time interviewing Vatupa. I spent a lot of time having men like Ato Zakaman on the show. And even my brother here can bear me witness. There were few talk shows in the diaspora. It's not the way Liberia has, Facebook, Mike Huckabee has created this platform that everybody, even the man who cannot spend it as Ovin, can come on every hour and talk nonsense and with no idea of what he's talking about. And talking about the Shikadas. So they did not have a platform, but yet I say I give them respect because they thought they could work with this man when he gets into power for him to bring in competent people around him. This is my point argument here. In a classroom, when you are not the smartest student, you sit with the smartest students because they will help you to be good. It is the same in politics. Joria being the incompetent, he would have hired competence to make him look good because they will now serve as the face of the government and he is just what? The man signing, just driving around, say, yeah, we're doing good in Liberia. Economy is growing. We have decreased on employment. A lot of young people are employed in Liberia. Market women are chilling and nightclubs are opening in Liberia. And here we are, our economy is booming. He would have I thought that this man would have started his administration by bringing in great people around him. Again,
DFLO, in your opinion, do you think they did a good job in making the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf administration unpopular, thereby giving them the opening?
They did it in a political math, what we call political math making. Political math making. There are a bunch of political math makers. It's called political math makers, people who lie to pin the other side as something that is not competent. John Weah himself gave Ellen Johnson a B+. B+, right?
And will you consider that as good, bad, or ugly?
I consider that as a man who was totally just wanted to state power, but didn't know what he was talking about.
Well, Anthony.
Mr. D-Flow.
Yes, sir.
Anthony, can I say something?
Go ahead.
On, Ben, we'll come to you.
No, let Ben go ahead.
All right.
No, but you don't allow me to do rebuttal. Why are you allowing you to rebuttal me all the time?
Okay, you are right. Let me go with my question to you, D-Flow.
Please, man, y'all be fair to me now. Y'all be fair to me. Y'all want me to come by here?
D-Flow, start complaining. D-Flow.
That is a joke for y'all. I'm not afraid to appear anywhere because I can crucify any CD10. I sent out a challenge to Vani Saki. He ran away. He said he's busy. He's working every week. I said, no, you are not busy.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
You know, I understand your passion and I respect that, but we have to call a spade when it is.
Go for it. I'm just joking. I can come anywhere, my brother.
No, not that one. I'm not talking about that one. Okay. So now these people, they kept the party together. You say that means nothing. And first, I must disagree with you when you say Liberians are, they don't vote on this, they don't vote on this. I used to believe the same thing, especially when they voted for Charles Taylor and said, you killed my mom, you killed my papa. But as I grew older, I began to understand that the people on the ground vote for the issues that matter to them most.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Name me one thing that John Weah presented today in a debate.
No,
No, you have to name me one thing.
Yeah, I'm starting with Charles Taylor. The reason,
no, let's focus on John Weah.
No, hold on. I'm coming to that because I don't like people to characterize or mischaracterize Liberians because voters all over the world vote on the issue pertaining to them. That's why if you go to
not Liberia, not the Republic of Liberia.
Yes, they do. And let me give you an example. For Charles Taylor, they were scared that this man had the biggest gun. So they felt that if they vote for this man, there will be no war. You can judge that 2020 vision is, looking backward is always 2020, but that what affected them at that time, they were afraid of war. Okay. Coming to George Weah had a mass-based party from the first election 2005, which he won in the first round. And the people believe that this man is like also when he gets to power, he's going to do X, Y, Z for us. And the Ellen government,
the thought is an assumption.
Yes, that's everybody going into an election would think that this person, if I'm voting for D-Flow, because I believe D-Flow is going to represent me. If D-Flow gets there and does otherwise, that's another issue. So that was the assumption they believe. And they thought that our Ellen government was more elite, that forgot the people, the ordinary person, including the people we now call Zogos. So they got behind someone who to represent them. And people do that all over the world. So I want people to have respect for the Liberian electorates.
Yeah, I want to say something, please.
Go ahead, Ben.
Let me do this. I would try to do this as we go along. I want to rectify that notion that the CDC comprises of, people who are not the best or the brightest. Let me tell you this, that same mindset was exhibited during the time the CDC spent in opposition. Whenever there were complaints, the ruling government at the time dismissed those claims. That's how people don't understand. So, CDC protest. Politics. Let me make this clear. I studied politics for my life. When you are governing, governance mostly succeed when you are apt to do what they call negotiated settlement. If the United Party was more relaxed or more accepting in terms of engaging the CDC, whereby there could be negotiated settlements on issues that were raised, we wouldn't have had a series of protests. But you see, that notion of these people, they are Zogo, they are street urchins, they don't know anything. So that initial reaction brought about a lot of fissures and conflict. So, and it continues today. That's why people say, they are protest. Because there are some people assume wrongly that the CDC is comprised of dim-witted people. That's what I wanted to fix. That is not accurate. It's far from the truth. It's so far from the truth.
Ben, how did you fix that? You also admitted that structure-wise information dissemination and also
No.
conflict management.
Structural problems. It don't mean that the people are intellectually deficient. They are structural deficiency. It don't mean that the individuals are not smart enough. The party have structural issues. Everybody knows that. What I'm saying is people look at them as if they are of lesser intelligence, and that's wrong.
I think that's politics.
Well, again, folks, in cyberspace, this is Focus on Liberia. I am co-hosting with Dennis Jad today on our program, Primetime Sunday. We have the man D-Flow in the house. He is the host of the Liberian Destiny Debaters. And we have a long time standing member of the CDC, and his name is Ben Finn. Let us go to the next segment of our conversation, gentlemen. Now, in this segment, we'll be looking at the CDC as a ruling party. We'll be looking at the good, the bad, and the ugly. Let us start with the formation of the government. You know, when you win an election as a party, you have to now form your government. So let's start with that. D-Flow, you go first. The CDC won the election, and now they had to put a government together. Tell us whether it was good, whether it was bad, whether it was ugly. Let us know.
Your buddy was trying to interrupt you. Do you want me to go ahead?
Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to acknowledge that our West African correspondent, Mr. Edward Amara, is in the house. Edward, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you, Mr. Jha. Good evening, everyone. I am really admiring the show. Thank you. It's been hectic, and I'm following. A fantastic job done by you, Mr. C, and welcome to these two dynamic guests.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. So let's go back to Mr. C that we're a little bit interrupted by the introduction of bringing the better on from the other screen here. So you if you want to go back for the sake of the argument, just go ahead and state
so
that.
Again, I was saying,
you're talking about the good and the bad. Again, we're back to the good and the bad.
Yeah, so let's go in this segment about CDC as a ruling. Let's talk about the formation of the government. Was it good? Was it bad? Was it ugly? Let us know.
I can tell you off the bat that it's the worst thing I have ever come to see in politics. This is my reason. When you win an election in a country, that you have painted the former ruling party, and you are now the ruling party. You don't start by hiring individuals that will come to the Senate or the House of Representatives and say, I have 4 AAs. That is all Eugene Lamin Fagon carried to the Senate, because he knows how to talk. Eugene Lamin Fagon, a man with 4 AAs, you hire a man like that, the foundation of the country, the governing, the process by which they started from back, I knew of right up back that this man was on the wrong side of history. He was going to destroy himself and the CDC. Because you don't begin in hiring a government by bringing on strictly an incompetent man with 4 AAs as a deputy information minister. That was one. 2, when you have painted a government, the previous government, to be corrupt, you as the state, the leader of the state, have to be watchful of what you do. You gotta be mindful of what you do. In this case, you will have to choose competent people, competent citizens, competent opposition members that you believe can do the job, because all you want is the job to be done. You don't worry about what political party you're from. All you have to worry about is you have a policy in place that when something goes wrong, you can go and arrest that person and prosecute that person. But in the case of the formation of the governing process, they started off the wrong way. For example, I said Eugene Lamin Fagon, Mr. 4 AAs. Nobody that I know in the United States that will say I have 4 AAs. I have a degree, associate degree from Minneapolis Community Technical College. I have a degree. I have an associate. I moved on to bachelor. I did not go by for another associate. Nobody has that history other than the Deputy Information Minister Mr. Eugene
D-Flow, you are emphasizing on Mr. Fagon as though Mr. Fagon is the only person you know in your using your word to not be qualified.
Yeah, I am emphasizing because you have to show some proof. I don't have to name the resident. Axel we say I don't have to go to him. I don't have to go to Isiaka Sharif, who was just employed as internal affairs. Right after graduation, he got a job. What does he bring to the table? As a group, nothing. No experience. He's supposed to be an assistant before becoming a minister to learn a routine of internal affairs. But here he is. That boy was sent to internal affairs as minister for research. Who does that?
Thank you, D-Flow. Ben will come to you. Let's get some words from our West African correspondent here, Mr. Edward Amar. Edward, what I want from you is that you have been following Liberian politics. You are our correspondent, not only Liberia, but the entire West Africa. Tell us, how is the Liberian government viewed in Sierra Leone? What are Sierra Leoneans saying about the Liberian government?
Oh, thank you very much. I think what is normally happening in Sierra Leone, you try to watch at the system, but there is one mentality. It is easy to criticize the system when you are definitely not in. And I think the Sierra Leonean government on this side, are setting Liberia as a bad example instead of using it as a good example. Because when you watch at what is happening in Liberia, it's more or less a state failure, and the state failure is depend on the present head of the executive branch of government over there, who is George Weah. Having said that, you cannot absolutely blame the Weah administration because of what is happening now. Rather, it is kind of continuous system. Unfortunately, he took it over and has not been able to manage the system appropriately. I really admire the other time when you people post something on Facebook regarding if multi-party system is actually failing in Liberia. And that is one of the demerit of multi-party system, because we are not actually taking it. Because when you come into power, you tend to use the state human resource that are at your disposal. Unfortunately, when you watch at what Ellen Johnson Sirleaf did, she had some amount of flaws into her system, but there are some competent people who are actually into our administrative system. But when we came, he still met these people, but just because of that multi-party system, I want to deal with the whole CDC ideology. So he tend to drop all these people and hire his own people. So now in Sierra Leone, they normally set bad example on what is happening in Liberia, because Liberia has absolutely been incompetent to pay her citizens when it comes to salary and some of these things. Even when it comes to their staple food like rice, they are complaining whatsoever thing. So if you criticize the government in Sierra Leone, they will tell you into their longer, say, well, we don't favor Liberia, or just like we do not resemble Liberia because we has not been able to pay the administration. So the sentiment here is very negative. People are not viewing the Liberian system as a competent system. It is just because of the type of party ideology that have been implemented over there. And normally I heard your guest saying about education, and they can even tell you that it is because we did not go into a scrutinized educational body that only went to award his degree or what, master as the case may be. But BO is a competent person, a pragmatic leader, an astute person. I think the sentiment at the side of this country, even in Guinea, it is absolutely negative. People are not actually watching it like that. They are just thinking that it's a failed system. So it's absolutely negative, very appalling.
So Ben.
Yes, sir.
If you were to be on Sierra Leone TV tonight, what would you say
about
the sentiment?
No, that's good. I would just say that I think the assessment our brother just gave is totally wrong. You see, I posted something yesterday, and I want all of us, to just remember this. Before the truth get out of your house, the wrong information or the misinformation can travel maybe two times around the world. The situation in Liberia, it is being misread because we have opposition members that are going out there and giving unverifiable information to the international community. Let me just point one case. The opposition people came out, they said $16 billion was literally lost. You say it was lost. But after independent audit, independent audit by an international organization, found out that money didn't get missing. It was just procedural error. Nobody came out to say, oh no, we made a mistake or what we said was wrong. That news is still a stigma on that country because people assume that $16 billion disappeared. It was inaccurate. You see, those are the kind of messages that international people see. And they say, oh, this was happening in Liberia because they don't engage some of the people who are abreast with the information. Let me just say one thing. No, I just want to say one thing before I start. My guest, D-Flow, was talking about people that got appointed. But let me say,
you can go to that question now.
Yeah, you see, there are two things. Since I've entered this country since 2004, I've been a manager company. But let me tell you this: when we are hiring people, we don't look at how many degrees you get in the bag. I will tell you this: education is very important, very important. What we look at in the hiring process is what they call core competence. If I bring John Brown in, will he be able to give me the results I want? As a businessman, we call that return on investment. So we look at competence. It's literally, when you translate it, is the ability to get things done, the ability to get results. I would tell him this. Let me tell you the problem of Liberia. To a large extent, I would blame the ordinary Liberians in the street. This is not about Ellen, this is not about Doe, not about Tom, but the citizens in Liberia, they do not demand, they do not hold their elected representative, they don't hold them accountable.
Ben,
I'm coming to, let me learn, sir.
Ben, let me hold you there. I think you are going to an entirely different thing.
No.
We are talking about the formation of the government.
I'm coming there right now. I'm coming there. You see, because
and just going to line that statement because I'm going to react to it.
That's what I'm going to say, because when you hold your leaders accountable, they will be compelled to perform. When the CDC won the election, and if you can remember, I talked about this earlier on, that we should have established what I call a shadow government. When the CDC won an election, I will admit, I will agree with D-Flow to an extent. There were faults in terms of identifying principal actors. We struggled there. But you see, if people had listened to me when I was talking about the formation of a shadow administration back then, it would have been easier. But the goal was government is continuity. So we would bring in people mixed up with people who were already there. And one of the things that people missed was that they're almost, I would say 65%, maybe 70% of Ellen Johnson's bureaucracy, as we speak today's did me and you, they are still in place. Maybe 70% of Ellen Johnson's bureaucracy.
Ben, is that good or bad?
Well, government is continuity. You don't come in and just wipe out everybody that is there, because you need competent people.
So that is good.
That's good.
But your fellow citizens are complaining about it.
Well, I understand their complaints. Simply, what we need to do, we need to find other avenues to incorporate them. But the bureaucracy of the state needs to function. It needs to go on. And
Ben, stop the intellectual bluff. Let's go to the issue, Ben. That you are bluffing intellectually. The CDC came to power. It needed to form a government. The president had the power to appoint, and the president made a lot of appointments.
Yes.
Of the people he appointed, will you say many of them were qualified? Few of them were qualified? Did he bring to the table or into his government competent people to get the ball rolling from the get-go?
That's it.
I would say some mistakes were made. Some mistakes were made.
That's clear. Let me help you. Because Ben already admitted that because they never had a shadow government, so they came to the government unprepared. I think he has said that. So that is another way of saying it was bad. But let me go to two things that you said about the messaging, that people or the opposition give the government a bad press. Why wouldn't it be a bad press if you have an information minister or the deputy who has a column facts and fiction, who instead of creating the narrative, he is reacting. He is reacting to facts and fiction. So why is he not the one to put the message out there instead of responding to what people say? That one. Two, you said that the Liberians don't hold their leaders accountable. I refute that in the strongest term. Just last week, we saw thousands of Liberians in the street protesting. Okay, we should also remember that the country, people have no faith in government anymore because of the successive abuse by our leaders. But the people are suffering. And what most of the leaders try to do is to put them in a bad situation so that the only way they have to do now is to accept whatever crumbs is dropped to them. So that's the way leadership has been, manipulating the people. But the people have been speaking up consistently. They have been holding their leaders accountable. Okay. Leaders who did not perform were kicked out. And this has continued over time on social media everywhere. People are holding leaders accountable. So where are you coming from that Liberians are now holding their leaders accountable?
Okay, let me give you one example. One, I was born in West Point. I was born there. That's where I was born.
Yeah.
West Point, there's a district that encompasses West Point. We have a representative. I will tell you this. When was the last time you heard a town hall meeting between the resident, the citizen in West Point, and their elected representatives? When was the last time you heard that? Let me tell you why I say that. Because tomorrow morning in Liberia, people will go on the beach and poo-poo there. They'll poo-poo there. The lawmaker takes home thousands of dollars. Have you heard these people say, well, Mr. Lawmaker, we have X, Y, Z. What are your solutions? Because the lawmaker is supposed to represent the interest of his people. His objective is to address the plight that his people face. That's what the lawmaker is there for.
But our emphasis here, let me interrupt. Our emphasis here is on the executive branch putting together a government to run the government. And now you're going to representative how the people.
I told you,
brother. It's not the people that have the power to appoint.
My brother, I told you there were some mistakes. I told you that. There were some initial mistakes. There were.
All right, thank you. Let's come to D-Flow. D-Flow, I criticize Ben's answer to me or to us here as an intellectual bluff. Do you agree with me, or do you not agree with me?
No, I don't want to go like that. He's a big brother, and I have to give him a respect. Let's speak to the issue here. Ben is never going to admit, because CDC is behind the same. They will admit that the government has the revolution has been, in the word of the twat. I mean, what is it? Twatted or whatever it is.
Yeah, that's it. That's the word.
So that they will not say it publicly. These people spent 12 years, fellow Liberians. Read my lip, 12 years, and we all know. They criticized Ellen Johnson Sirleaf as a fair leader, as a fair state. They said Liberia was a fair state. But what we do have under the administration of this president, the man who many people in Liberia believe that is the first native president, because they brand Ellen Johnson Sirleaf as a foreigner. But here we are under the administration of John Weah. The first appointees of the government, you got a man with 448s, you got high school students, you got the president himself waiting to appoint people in positions that are completely unqualified. And he has built himself what we call a nonchalant behavior to see the light that he needs to make complete structural changes. And he does not care. You know why? The man is incompetent, so he likes incompetent people. And he brings incompetent people. They will say to him, Mr. President, hell no, this will not work. But the incompetence, we have to go with the flow because all they want is their paycheck. It's a paycheck. So
all right,
when you look at a CDC talking in public, they speak quite different. Evidence to that is Morba Molu. Evidence to that. Other people we have their own record, which we are not ready to talk about. Look.
Are you a coward?
I am not a coward about this. In politics,
Then speak now or forever hold your peace.
So in politics, they call it a political window. You don't say everything in politics. That is something they call a political window.
So you leave that window open.
If you wait for the exact time that it will make an impact, it will hit as a bomb. In politics, it's called a political window.
Thank you, Diflo. Thank you, Diflo.
Say that again?
I said thank you, Diflo. Again, folks, in cyberspace, this is Focus on Liberia on our program, Primetime Sunday. Deneja is here hosting. I am co-hosting. Benfin is in the hall. Diflo is not taking it easy here. So, folks, we will be going to comments soon. We'll start reading some comments. But before we do, Dennis, let's chip in a little bit of governance. Let's go to another segment. The CDC, as a ruling party now, has governed Liberia.
Before we go to that, because I still want to push D-Flow, because D-Flow is very difficult for us to believe now, because if you couldn't give any credit to the CDC for 12 years for everything they have done, including winning elections, I don't think people watching you will believe that you're going to say anything objective about the CDC, you know, as a ruling party.
As a ruling party, until the party can decide to hire competent Liberians and change what is wrong with the government, I remain, if my conversation will not change, I will continue to say what I believe in. Not out of hate, but out of love for Liberia. That I love the country more than a person.
Thank you. And if you want to join the conversation, call the number 605-313-6004. The code is 791403. It's pinned right there on Facebook. Again, the number 605-313-6004. Code 791403. Let me read a few comments before we go to the next segment, because these comments are related to the issue being discussed. Batum Kula said, Ben, most of the people you guys hire are incompetent and green with no core competencies other than praising the boss with Muyan. Emmerich Benson Nicole writes, Ben, you are confusing yourself. People don't hold their elected officials accountable, but you don't want to accept people holding WIA and the CDC-led government accountable for lack of transparency, accountability, code of professional conduct. Ben, you are a confused person. No, I disagree with that part. Emre, stop that far. Ben is not confused.
Ben is a praise singer.
Right. James Davis said about the money issue, the government spokesperson said also money was missing, and others said money was not missing, but the president is building houses. And Farah saying 1 year said this show is not doing justice to Mr. Ben. Mr. Ben.
Ben,
Yes.
how much time you need? Let's go to governance.
No, I mean, you see, these kind of opportunities, they are good because you see, when we engage, when we exchange ideas, other people learn. You know, someone will write something, but he will also, when he's alone by himself, he will think about what he wrote, and he'll probably have to, adjust and stuff. But I'll tell you this, there are a lot of wrong information out there, lots of them. And you know, these are the kind of avenues we have to kind of rectify some of them. So there will be people who are overwhelmed with this misinformation, and they will come and say, "What?" And I will tell you this: every Liberian hearing the sound of my voice, I respect your opinion. I respect it, because you know we should have diversity in terms of what we see or how we see things. So I mean, I am so happy to be here. Very happy.
And one more comment for D-Flow. D-Flow, you think that Ben alone the people talking about? Anthony Dua says, D-Flow doesn't know what he's talking. He said CDC lie on Madame Salif to defame her, but if Judge Weah gave her B+, how can he reconcile a lie said by the CDC and B+ said by Judge Weah, knowing fully well that Judge Weah is the standard bearer of the CDC?
Okay, so do you want me to talk to the brother?
Yeah, talk to the brother. I mean, let's have a conversation.
Judge Weah is on record. During the campaign, he said he gave Madame Salif B. So B is not a failing mark. B is not 70. B is 80. It's 85. B is 82, 83, 85. When you go to B, when you get somebody B, you are in the 80s. You are Rishi is 90. B is 92. And then when you hit 92, you go into A. So if somebody is going to give you a B, you have not failed. You have done extremely well. Now, this is not to say everything was great, but a B is a passing mark compared to somebody who will get a C. If I was to grade this government, I would give this government an F in everything. Corruption, F. Nepotism, F. Leadership skill, F. Everything, F. I'm telling you. I don't come to talk about CDC and praise CDC. CDC has done absolutely nothing to be praised.
Let me just say one thing.
On the international front, CDC is the worst government. Nobody likes CDC. It's a crooked environment.
Okay, let me say one thing.
That was Mr. D Flow giving the government F in all areas, man.
You see, D Flow, I really want to just counter by saying this. You cannot make the charge of nepotism against this government. You cannot make that charge. The CDC is an umbrella organization. You cannot make the charge of nepotism. Jefferson Koji, Molba Molu, we got all kinds of people that the charge of nepotism will not stick. It will not stick. And when you come to what you call corruption, D-Flow, you know, you are a very smart man. We cannot make charges of corruption simply based on unproven and untested allegation. I can only call D-Flow a thief after D-Flow has been found guilty in a court of competent jurisdiction. I can't call D-Flow a criminal. I shouldn't do that. That would be tantamount to liability. That would be tantamount to maligning. Has D-Flow been found guilty in a competent court of law?
Ben, what if there's no competent court of law? I'm just saying. Right, because
we have the court of public opinion.
The person you are accusing is the person who's going to be the judge. So what you say to that?
No, but all I'm saying is I cannot class you based on a hunch or an allegation.
What did you people say?
I don't know. I can classify you. That's tantamount to libel.
Gentlemen, let's move to governance. And let's start with D-Flow. D-Flow.
Yes, sir.
It's been 2 years now, we can say that the CDC has been.
I'll be back in a second. I'll be back. 1 second.
All right. It's been 2 years now. The CDC has been in charge of the affairs of the state. And all we see is that things are not too good. People are crying on the economy. We know about salaries not being regular and all of that. So I want you to grade the CDC using our grading system here, good, bad, and ugly in terms of governance.
I give it a U, ugly.
Okay.
Ugly.
Why?
I give the party and the entire system is like people who, as I say in my expose, that spent 12 years as if to say they did not prepare themselves for this day. 12 years in opposition, you are supposed to pay attention to mistakes made by that government. So when you come to state power, you don't make those same mistakes. 12 years. You cannot tell me you spend 12 years and don't learn anything that X, Y, and Z were the reasons why this government failed, or are the reasons why the government did not get an A or would not get an aid from the Liberian people. And those mistakes cannot be repeated by you. For example, who take people 25 million and give it to a fuller man from Guinea with no address and tell him, go change money? Who does that? Only a crooked government would do that. Only a government that's set up by a bunch of native people that are completely there to enrich themselves. Some here to be part of the Susu.
let me hold you on that native business, because what do you mean? Government set up by a bunch of native people?
A government set up by a bunch of people. Liberian people believe that their government was in the hand of a foreigner, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, 133 years old. The government was in the Congo took over state power and they mismanaged the country. So a native man must take leadership at this time. So what do we have? You have a finance minister with no idea of the economy. You have a commerce minister, Wesley Tapper, a professor that's supposed to be retired. The man went to school 1800. What does he know about money economy?
Stop that, D-Flow. But my question here is, it's easier to say this thing, F, you, ugly. What do you say is the root cause? Why?
Mr. Anthony, can I say one thing, please?
Just hold on. I want D-Flow to learn on this one.
Because it's very important.
It's very important. Excuse me?
Ben, hold on. We'll come to you, brother.
Ben, sit tight. I'm here. I say when I face it as citizens, I come not to praise the government. I come not all of hate, but to.
It's very important.
Okay, D-Flow.
Yes.
Most of the time, what we respond to in Liberia are symptoms of the problems, not the real problem. What do you see as the root cause of the issues for which you gave this government F and ugly?
Incompetent, lack of leadership, mismanagement, wasteful spending, and the leader of the state himself is egocentric about himself, self-worth, not the masses.
What do you mean by egocentric?
The man built 41 homes that he did not build when he was playing soccer. He played soccer for more than a decade. Who is gonna have millions of dollars in the bank and don't get his properties and wait until he's elected by the masses before he can put up a condominium? Okay. Who does that?
Thank you. We'll go to Ben, and then from Ben, we'll go to our West African correspondent to give us the news roundup.
And I see this thing, you face me, you will die.
Yes, I just want to speak to something my brother said, that the government or a bunch of country people with the assertion that they're taking the government back. But let me see. I mean, you see, those are some of the wrong assertions. Emmanuel Shaw works for this administration. Omer Bright works for this administration. You know, we have lots of people who are from the Americo-Liberian stock. That's what I said. The charge of nepotism cannot be leveled against this government because it will not hold. It will not hold. You know, when you come to competence, I will tell you this, D-Flow, you know, I like this dialogue. More work needs to be done. More demands need to be placed in terms of achieving results. But this is not a totality in terms of a total incompetent or total breakdown. More work needs to be done. I mean, I will give you that. But let's not ignore the strides that are being made, the movement in terms of the right direction. Let's not ignore that. Let's not be.
Why are the strides that have been made?
Okay, great. My good brother, Liberia, from the history books that I read, tell me if I'm wrong, Liberia was established in 1822. Has any one of us asked ourselves, anybody, all of us on this phone, including our guests, why George Weah is building the roads that he's building now, 2019 to this term? I mean, I'm talking about Liberia was established 1822 to today's date. Some of the roads, I just had an opposition member come from Liberia, and he told me, no, it's not what people are saying it is. Some of the networks of the road that Weah has built, he said, man, I was surprised that the distances are so short now. You know, let's not, you know, more work needs to be done, but let's acknowledge some of the little things that have been done, because some of these things haven't been done before.
Two things before you.
History. Let me tell you one thing.
I just want you to continue. I just want to inject something before you continue.
Go ahead.
One of the problems is what you just said, that the roads George Weah has built. It tells me that we have not built a system. We have not built a government. We have individuals. And that's why when a president gets to power, they want to have these things have their fingerprints on it so that they will be remembered and praised.
All right.
That's one of the problems.
Okay. For the first time in our history, people say nothing's been done. In a few, I would say in a few months, there will be a dedication for the first military hospital in the history of Liberia. Deflo said there's nothing. This not only for members of the military, but the members
Then you're
of the
making
military.
it to appear as though this is the first hospital in Liberia.
No. This is the first.
My brother continue on. Give him the weapons.
Okay.
This is the first hospital dedicated to military men and women and their families. It hasn't been done before in the annals of Liberian history. So, like I said, it's not a totality. Let's look at where more needs to be done and let's make recommendations. But we can't, someone, I don't know if it was you or the other host, he said it is easy to sit on the sidelines and condemn. It's very easy. But get in, and attempt to do some of the heavy lifting. Make some positive recommendations. Do what I would call constructive engagement. Engage.
Ben, I work in healthcare. One of the problems in when you want to talk about healthcare to solve a problem, there are three major areas you want to look at and see what the problem is.
Go ahead.
Access, is it cost, or is it quality? So when a government gets in power,
hold on. I gotta run for my.
I want you to hear this.
Yeah.
Okay. At this time, we'll go to our West African correspondent. But what I wanted to tell them is the analysis that was done to arrive at building a military hospital, whether what we need in the country was access, was cost, or affordability. But let Ben come back. Let's go to our West African correspondent, Edward Amara, who's going to give us the African news roundup.
Oh, thank you very much. The West Africa news roundup here. The latest news update from West Africa. Gambia former President Yahya Jammeh seek return home. We all know Yahya Jammeh was one of the longest serving presidents in West Africa, in the country called Gambia. He was ousted when he lost election to Adama Barrow. But being that there are certain crises going on into the Gambia, President Amanda Barrow, based on the coalition report, he would have stepped down after 3 years in power, but he has suddenly refused not to step down and asked for his constitutional mandate to be maintained, and therefore has formed his own party and deleted himself from the current ruling party. In the light of that, President Yahya Jammeh is saying that even the frogs in Gambia actually want to return, therefore he's voting to return back to the Gambia. However, the government maintained a strong standard. They do not have any formal arrangement with Yahya Jammeh that he should step back into the soil of Gambia. Should he's definitely going to be arrested. Another development in West Africa, we cross to Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso is just a country that is closer Ivory Coast and the share borders with Ivory Coast. Burkina Faso has actually been troubled with a lot of Islamic attack, especially the IC, that is the Islamic State. Over the past 2 days, Ouagadougou was a city near Ouagadougou was attacked, and about 25 people were killed. And that development, the West African country issued a kind of strong report that they may not be able to confront the terrorists because the economy of the country is not too strong, and being attacked by a kind of well-organized group like ISIS is going to be very difficult. They're therefore seeking on the attention of UN and other people to definitely involve into the conflict, as the country may go into another political rumbling. And finally, we check into Libya. Libya will have one strong Alpha Khalifa, who is actually fighting against the interim-backed government by the UN. However, the Khalifa, General Alpha, promised to take over the capital city, Tripoli, if the Gaddafi, he termed them as the interim government over there. He does not believe it. He believes there is an infidel government being supported by the Western, by the UN and other international bodies. He said he should definitely step down and allow the Libyan country to be ruled by the Libyan themselves. In a few development into that particular country, we saw President Erdogan, Recep Tayyip Erdogan of Turkey, sending troops into Libya to protect the North African state. However, when he sent those troops over there, even the state parastatal, some of those ministers who are heading those things denounce the move that it's a kind of new colonialism. Turkey is only trying to protect itself. So far, so good. These are some of the interesting stories emanating from this part of the world. Thank you.
Very
Again,
interesting indeed.
Very interesting. That was our West African correspondent, read that based in Freetown, Sierra Leone, Edward Amara. Amara, you didn't bring us anything from Liberia. Why?
Yeah, no, it's just interesting. I think most of the things that are actually discussed in Liberia, we have discussed in them. However, there's another interesting story emanating from Liberia. We all know Liberia is a type of country that it has a kind of free port in Africa, and we learned from recent news that they have a kind of shipping from Greece who actually sent some polytechnic plastics into Liberia, and those things we are going with the flag of Liberia, and they claim to have a formal arrangement with the government, but since the government are denying, they are seeking redress on to see how Liberia is definitely going to be compensated. And similarly with our CDC and brother and the opposition over there, we are a little bit worried about the development in Liberia because we all know that Liberia share border with Sierra Leone, and most of these people are intertwined in time of relationship. So should anything bad go into Liberia, the concomitant effect is fairly negatively. So we are just praying and hoping that the situation in Liberia is settled amicably, because even for this New Year and Christmas, a lot of people would have left from Liberia to come and celebrate their Xmas or New Year, as the case may be, across the border. Unfortunately, things that never went. Most of those calls that we have made, some people will tell you that I went to the bank, I never got my money. I received a message from the government that I have been paid, but money was turned into their account. I was sent to this mobile banking. They told me that money like that has not been delivered. So we are all watching with eagle eye on what is going on in Liberia, and hope that the way administration will take an absolute step to seek the interests of the people and ensure that there is some amount of accountability, responsibility, and loyalty to his promises.
Okay, again, Edward Amarada, based in Freetown, Sierra Leone. He is our West African correspondent. Edward, thank you for always giving us the rundown of news in the continent of Africa. And if you want to leave, we can say bye-bye. We'll get back to these two gentlemen so that they can continue their battle. We will say bye-bye to you. All right, come back. Mr. Jai, you were saying something. Complete your thought. Ben, come in, and then we can go to our phone line.
Right. So Ben, I was telling you exactly that the military hospital that you are boasting about now, or you are talking about, has one of the success. I'm wondering, what was the analysis done to arrive at the point that we need a military hospital, or we need a hospital, if the existing hospitals are crumbling?
All right. I think when there's a blanket statement that the existing hospitals are crumbling, that would be an inaccurate description of the reality on the ground. I would say that existing hospitals have problems, but that doesn't negate the fact that those who put their lives on the line to safeguard us, their welfare shouldn't be taken care of. So I think it was a good deal, because I think you are aware of this. Military men and women, they have families, so it wouldn't be for soldiers or somebody. It will be for them and their families. And I'm sure other branches of law enforcement will be incorporated into that. So I think this is a good thing, because it will be especially for them. So let's all embrace this and maybe make suggestions in terms of how we can make it better, or how we can address some of the problems in other institutions. But we won't say because other hospitals are having problems, we won't build something new. I mean, then that will not be.
No, and that's the suggestion I'm making, because that's my background.
I understand. I understand.
Yeah, I'm saying again, the three areas in healthcare are cost, or access, cost, affordability, and quality. So before we come up with that solution, you think access. If when people are sick, is there a hospital for them to go to? If the answer is no, then you build one. Or is the issue, can they afford to go to a hospital even though the hospital is available? Can they afford to go there? It's a cost. If there's cost, then you see, insurance and all, how you can mitigate that problem. Or is it quality? When people go to a hospital, do they come back sicker? Then you address the quality concern. So I don't see the analysis that were made to arrive.
I think all those analysis, what you just did, even that's good. You just gave the rationale for this hospital.
Right.
Because obviously, you know that the men and women who serve in the army in Liberia.
And what I'm saying is, if JFK is good, they will go there. But let's leave it at that, and go to let's leave it there. But if they were asking me, I would have advised that. Let's go to our phone lines.
Yeah.
And the first is call out your name and where you're calling from.
Oh, my name is Stanley George, and I call from Louisville, Kentucky. I've been training on the show. You know, I just want to say this, and I've been listening to the both guests, that is Ben and that of D Flow. But I just want to say that D Flow is completely out of context when it comes to the topics on discussion. The first thing that came from D Flow mouth when you try to ask him, he went straight to George, where competency, his degree, whatever, the way he's speaking, all that. And that wasn't the issue. The issue on ground was that the good, bad, and the ugly. That was the issue on ground. But he left that and started to attack the credibility of the president. That I'll leave that. Okay, when we talk about the medical hospital that Brother Ben just talked about, and you ask the question, access, availability, and that of quality. I believe the access, yes, because you cannot have a military that if they have a problem, when it comes to medical problem, they have to take them out of the JFK EAW hospital or the nearby clinic. That is odd. We should have our own military hospital. If they have a problem, if they have some medical issues, they can be treated. And that medical hospital is not just for the military alone, but rather for all civilians who are around the surrounding. If they have problems, they don't have to take them to JFK hospital or nor to either a hospital or the nearby clinic. Okay, so the issue here is when people are talking about the government has failed miserably, that is FF and everything, it's not real. Okay, despite if I'm against this CDC government, but I should be able to say the facts, those achievements and the failures of the government. But you cannot say over here that the government has failed miserably. When you look at road connectivity, since 1847 up to now, if you travel, you live in the United States, you have so many exits to take you to one destination. The only difference will be is the time, okay? And you have your country that only connected just a one-way street. You don't have it. And this individual, this president, has told us why to say, you know what? Road development will be my priority. Though I have other aspects to do, but road priority will be my aspect to connect the entire country. Okay,
Josh,
from farm to market road. You say it's a failure. I think it's not in you.
Please conclude.
Yeah.
Josh, Josh, please conclude with this. Give us one good. Don't go too long on the explanation. Give us one good, one ugly, and one bad for this government.
Thank you very much. Okay, I will tell you this. I'll start with the ugly first. You know, the first ugly I would say about the government is that when it comes to information dissemination, okay, everybody cannot be on the media to disseminate the information when it comes to the government aspect of the present government. There should be people who are designated to disseminate the information and debunk whatever people will come out to say, critics will come out to say. So that is the ugly side that I believe that is not good for the government.
Okay. All right.
The bad.
And the good?
The law, well, I should go to the good here. The good is this president is trying his best. If we try to cut the law, those achievements that he has done within the period of 2 years compared to from the 1847 up to 2017, I think it's great. And we all know it. We cannot deny it. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you. Let me go to the next caller. Call out your name and where you calling from.
Hey, I'm Catholic Double. I'm calling from Texas.
Go ahead, Kessler. You are live.
Thank you very much for the time given me again once more on your platform. And so the topic of the discussion, I want to say congratulations to D-Flow. So exposing. And thank you hard. You are trying to do your best, but it is not working because this government has failed, like I've said on so many occasions. This government has failed. Let's go to the hospital issue we were just discussing, which is the latest one. What the use of building a military hospital or new hospital in Liberia when you cannot equip the previous one you already have, the existing one that you have? You have the hospital. You have the hospital that is checked. Why can't you equip one branch, one side of the GSK hospital and use it for the military? Why can't we do that? And that would have been wasted enough.
Okay.
All right.
You don't even have equipment
That's why you
for the front hospital.
That's why you made your point right there. Can you close by giving us, you made your point right there, but close by giving us one good, one bad, and ugly for this government.
Let's go to the good. I can't find a good, I cannot find a good. I cannot find any good.
Okay, then give us one ugly.
The ugly. One, the rampant terrorism of the Liberian people. You have the Sabu unit, you have a people that came to part of represent the masses. Instead of representing the masses, you terrorizing the masses on a daily basis.
All right.
People who are selling the market. Instead of terrorizing the rich people, you are terrorizing the very poor people who brought into existence.
And the bad?
Ugly corruption.
Oh.
Rampant corruption, that's the most baddest one in the government. Rampant corruption at its hardest peak. Very hard.
Thank you for your contribution.
To sit here and tell us that the government is not corrupt is very disheartening. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Dennis, give us one more.
Yes. Last caller, your name and where you calling from?
Hey, this is Kemo. I'm calling from Houston, Texas.
Kemo, welcome to Focus on Liberia. Question or comment? And remember to give us the good, the bad.
Happy New Year to everybody. Yeah, Happy New Year to everybody over there, all my Liberian people. I'm happy to join you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The last time I was watching this Focus on Liberia, I wanted to be quiet on Liberian politics, but tonight I'm constrained to make an input. And I would like to start this. The first thing I would like to start on this military hospital. Like the previous caller said, we got so many hospitals in Liberia that don't even have functional equipment or nurses going on pay and all of that. We got PB, we got Renner Hospital, we got the Jackson F. Hospital. They still struggling for equipment and staff up, pay and other stuff. So I don't know why is it that we'll be building military hospital only because we want Georgia to have 14 names on the hospital there. But anyway, it is not really concerning what I want to say. What really driving me to this conversation is one, when we're speaking of the good of this government, I don't know how to really find it, but I would like to say here is that for me, I came in Houston here. I was on Facebook championing CDC government to come to power because I wanted for them to audit Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, audit her based upon the rampant corruption, mismanagement that are under her government. But the government came to power, the first thing they did a grade any government to be 80%, I know 80 or whatever percent, giving her a clear green mark in what she did. And what they did, they came on change. For what we saw, they started doing the same thing any government did. So there's no good for me for the government, honestly. And lastly, when it comes to road connectivity, yeah, we've seen that Georgia is building road, but the road they are building, how durable is the road? Do we have sidewalk? Do we have a pathway for emergency, just in case when your car breaks down, you don't have to be on like in America we say shoulder way. We don't see it. So I don't know, the kind of development that is going over there. So when Ben, how they go, one of the guests there, Ben, I don't want for you to be a bullshit liar. Speak the fact. Forever hold that fact in your mind so you can have your face clear when speaking to people. We're not blind. We're fighting the issue in Liberia. Don't be talking about roll. Don't be saying that. And lastly, to D-Flow. Lastly, let me just conclude. Lastly, D-Flow. I want when you engaging the president, say, please, please watch your vocab. We don't want for people to come back in the next election or next presidency to be saying, oh, the poor cost Joria, so we got to cost him to. No, let's respect the office. You know, let's respect that.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right.
Sir, please, I want to react to I need
Go
to
ahead,
react.
go ahead, Ben.
The first thing, my good brother, I want to say thank you for your views, but I want to plead with you. I'm not a liar, please. I'm just giving my opinion. You might not agree with it, but that doesn't make me a liar. The last thing I want to say is, I stressed this earlier on. I think you didn't get it. This brother should also take into consideration how roads are built. He just said there's no shoulders. Before roads are built anywhere in the world, you have surveyors, then you have members of the community, people whose lives that road will impact. They are involved in series of meetings. So, some of these brothers, when they come online, they don't have facts. Some people don't even know how roads are built. The highway, I understand, but roads that go through any community, before they are built, the citizens are involved. So, it is okay to.
And the issue of corruption and auditing previous government, Ben, you want to comment on that?
Well, the issue of, like I said earlier on to my good friend Deep, anybody can accuse anybody of anything, but I will plead with them, let them bring verifiable documentation. You can't just make allegations like that, then the allegation would lose its impact.
So you don't believe any of the corruption stories being reported against this government?
I don't believe it at all. I don't.
D-Flow.
It's amazing to listen to my brother talking about roads. John Weah did not present anything to the Liberian people, but the country being the way it is, where people vote for people not based on issues, that is what they have. Let me tell you about a road, because I have been in this process more than 10 years. Every year I go to every year or every other year I visit Liberia. The road that currently you see them publishing on Facebook, the road from Ganta to Tapeta, that is a project that was paid for by World Bank, signed by Eddie Johnson, the Honor Hall administration, not John Weah. Not John Weah. And they are celebrating this as if to say it was an initiative. It was some things that started by John Weah and that he is carrying on. This is fake. When it comes to Liberia's politics under Eddie Johnson, the ministerial complex, a gift for the Chinese, the airport, a loan, the road from Banga to Lofa County, the phase 1, is also under Ellen Johnson. There are a lot of things in Liberia that we can point to. Let's get to the reality here. Ellen did not do everything right, and that has never happened in any administration. But to say that the government of Ellen Johnson was not better than what we have, this is more than Kojorobo. The Liberian people should have taken Kojorobo to prison, and the prison is killing it, including CDCs themselves. The person is killing it. I'd rather take a Kojorobo to clean my stomach, meaning to delight a leader that is old but has experience, than to elect a man who has no clue and he brings a bunch of incompetence around him.
D-Flow.
Yeah.
This is the government that this is the group that you were working for or working with. Mm-hmm. So coming up, what did you see in the CDC that took you there? And why are you talking like this now?
There is always what they call, you get the people benefit of the doubt. You get somebody benefit of the doubt, because I am a broadcaster, a journalist, right? A Liberian, and I believe in nation first. Mm-hmm. So when your leader sits with other people and use them to get to you to say, we need this person on board. That was my situation. Right. Doria was a part.
D-Flow, was that part of the weaponizing mission or program of the government? Because you said 12 reached out to you.
They wanted to get critical voices to their side. The weaponize, as he said, weaponize. So they knew they have been, according to Samuel Tuwe, they followed me throughout a lot of times, seeing some of my audios, right? Some of my recordings. So they even showed this to some of the people like Maggie, all of them. They used to follow me, right? people would take a recording and carry it and say, this is D-Flow. We need this guy. This guy, we know him when Eddie was in power. We know what he did. He used to host us in the diaspora. So we need him. So they decided that we need D-Flow on. Let's bring this man on. So I did this out of favor. Out of what? Having seen that I thought he had good intentions.
D-Flow, here's the criticism that you went there and you wanted, this was a quid pro quo, and you didn't get what you wanted. That's why you are so bitter. And that's why you are going after them.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
When Samuel Toure contacted me, it was off the bat. Think about it. If this was a pro quo cook, when I was going to Liberia, I spent $2,400 of my own hard-earned cartoon pushing money and bought my ticket.
That was investment.
That is to tell you that you are dealing with somebody who does not care.
And you didn't get any return on your investment.
No, that was to tell you that I was just doing it for the sake of the nation. If I was like other people like the Fatigue brothers, they bought ticket for them before they went to Liberia. Before they bought
are you giving us breaking news here?
Yeah, I'm telling you now. They bought ticket for the Fatigue brothers. They even sent for Kiatama. It was the government. I said I don't need money from nobody because I would like to do something with my own mind. So when I leave, you do not say, oh, he came in, we had to purchase a ticket, we found hotel for him. When I went to Liberia, nobody found me a hotel. But when the Fatigue brothers went to Liberia, they had to put her in a hotel. When I see someone there running around, running big mouth, talking big mouth, how can you go in your own country to put in a hotel? Shame on you.
D-Flow, before I go back to Ben so that we can see if you guys can conclude, Ben said you don't have proof or evidence of all these accusations that the government is corrupt. What do you have to say?
I just want to tell my brother, Ben. So did you people have evidence or what they call elements of the case when you painted the early John Sirleaf administration as the most corrupt government ever on planet Earth?
It was the auditor.
That was a section of the auditor. It was not fact. It was not. But to answer your question,
hold on, Ben.
To answer your question, the evidence for John Weir, again, John Weir is, where did John Weir get the money from to pay for the 6 condominiums?
That's presumption.
Where did Samuel Toure get money from to pay himself a house? Listen to the tape of Mamba Moru. The thing have been thwarted.
What did Mamba Moru say on the tape? What are you talking about?
The native boys keep to steal. I'm serious. Our native brother, I'm a son of 2 native people. I have no Congo abroad. I have nothing that they say to you, I am a native man.
All right.
But our brothers are more corrupt. They care about themselves. They care about what
corrupt. What is the comparison? Comparing them with
the Congo?
Right, and that's the argument I don't want us to.
Oh, the only thing I can compare them with, the only thing I don't like about the Congo is they have a one-party system for 133.
Right, let's go to Ben. I don't want us to go into this argument because it's not going to end tonight. Ben.
We can come anytime. Ben, I'm ready to challenge you anytime.
On the native Congo is a little complicated than that. Let's go to Ben.
You know, the first thing I want to say is D-Flow is our brother. He's not a friend, he's our brother. You know, most times, just like a husband and a wife or girlfriend and boyfriend, when people enter into relationship, everybody has expectations. And sometimes those expectations are not met. So when the relationship breaks apart, you have people who are hurt. I will tell you this. I talked to D-Flow. D-Flow had good intentions, but maybe his expectations were not met. I will personally want to invite D-Flow to that retreat. D-Flow is our brother. D-Flow is not an enemy. You see, I will say this, and I've been saying it from the onset of this program.
Are you trying to cajole D-Flow?
No.
But, and Ben, Ben, you are insider.
No, this organization places emphasis on diversity.
Yeah,
so
Ben,
welcome.
Ben, you are insider. If you say maybe D-Flow had expectation, I want you to be clear on this thing. Was D-Flow expecting a job that he did not get?
No, maybe D-Flow was expecting some things to happen maybe faster. You see, maybe he put some timeline on some things happening.
You said you talked to him. What have you got? You were talking maybe. I want you to talk fast because
gathered from him, you see, he was interested in moving the information dissemination process in a more robust way. And maybe it didn't happen that way. So, I will say no. I mean, the door is still open. Come back.
All right,
no
Ben,
reason.
before we get your closing statement, I have a question for you, Ben.
I want to address one more thing. Diplo said George Weah built 41 houses. No, those houses are 21. They're not 41, 21.
Ben, why are you guys giving so many different versions? The presidential press secretary said they are 17 units.
No, listen now, that's what I'm telling you. You see, the people, they don't even have the story straight. But the story's going around.
The government?
No, I'm talking about the opponents.
No, I'm telling you about what Smith Tovey said in an interview, that the story building we're talking about, they are 17 units, and you are saying 21.
Maybe Smith Tovey misspoke. He's human. He's human. Maybe he misspoke. He's human.
Right.
But what I'm saying, no, what I'm telling you is, let's get the story straight. Let them be backed up with corroborated evidence. Then we can come out and say, well, we can categorically declare these things. But I will tell you this, my brother Anthony, I cannot say Anthony is corrupt if I have no proof that Anthony is corrupt. Then I'm maligning his character.
Man, because you are the same person hiding the proof. That's what that's what the people are saying. Right.
That
because
could be the case, Ben.
Yeah.
Because up to now, Dennis, may I say this? Up to now, since the report went to LSCC, talking about the $25 million, D-Flow, we yet to get the report back.
No. The man is setting on it because he's implicated. Samuel Toa is implicated in it. Why you think the jury? Why you think the former? I call him the former country giant. He is now the country sovereign giant. This man should be considered from this day forward as the country sovereign giant. Why would he have? John Weah has set up committees upon committees. He have item or none. None. Do you want me to return? Ben, thanks for the invite. Thanks for the invite. But you know why? This brother has to put his act together. He has to put his act together or else he will leave office in disgrace. I am not here for the hate. I know John Weah personally. John Weah knows me personally. I interviewed John Weah.
All right, gentlemen.
On love for Liberia.
All right, gentlemen. Again, folks in cyberspace, you have been watching Focus on Liberia on our program Primetime Sunday. Dennis Jah have been hosting. I have been co-hosting. And we are hoping that you are having a very good time. Ben Finn has been in the house defending. D-Flow has been playing offense. And the conversation has been going on smoothly. Gentlemen, we have to come to close. We'll be taking your closing statement soon. But I have a question for Ben. Ben.
Yes, sir.
Are you happy with your government?
I would say, like I said earlier, more work needs to be done. More work needs to be done.
So
more.
You are not happy?
Well, I would say I'm partially happy. Partially.
Is partial good for you?
No.
All right. Thank you, Ben. D-Flow.
Do you still believe that?
D-Flow,
that music is no longer in us. In fact, the people who made that music, John Weah is indebted to them. And CDC that just met John Weah a few days ago, they call her Dogger Betty, said that to me, that she had to take her television and give it to the guys. You see how those stories, we don't want to talk about that? Dogger Betty, who just met John Weah a few days ago when she posted on her page with an ugly grammar that she wrote. Another person, because she's an older woman, right? So look,
all right.
That song is no more in place in Liberia. Nowhere you go in Liberia to play that. Even to their party Sycamore tree, they don't play that. Move on the road again. That country suffering giant.
All right, gentlemen, we will now get back to you for your closing statement. And in this closing statement, we want you to be able to do two things. One, on the formation of the government. All right, tell us the good, the bad, and ugly. Governance, the good, bad, and ugly. And then CDC, then as an opposition political party, the good, bad, and ugly. You don't have to go too long, gentlemen. Do it in just 1 or 2 minutes, please. We'll let Ben to go first.
Well, first thing I want to say, really, I thank you and your co-host, and I also thank my brother D Flow. Even I want to say thank you to the other guests who gave us that good piece of information, that news aspect of the show. These dialogues are good, Mr. D Flow. I thank you. I want to. You see, these are the kind of dialogue where you see we can talk, we have differences, but nobody is insulting anybody. I wish these kind of dialogue can be repeated along the various Liberian spheres so that we can disagree, but we can respectfully engage each other. So I mean, I really thank you guys for this opportunity. With the CDC, I want to say this: in opposition, there were a lot of things that needed to be done, but this party, despite the many shortcomings, despite the many hurdles, this party came from nowhere and in a space of 12 years, achieved the presidency, the highest prize in the land. So for that alone, they should be acknowledged, and they should be, they should be seen as a force. I mean, you can accuse them of incompetence. You can cast whatever aspersions you want on them, but for the fact that they were able to achieve such a feat in such a short amount of time, is indeed a huge accomplishment. And governance, I will say this, and I continue to say more needs to be done. The Liberian people have expectations, and I think one of the things I want to send to all people, all my folks in Liberia, hearing the sound of my voice, is let's go to our communities and let's engage them. The people that we claim to represent, the people who voted for us, their voices need to be heard. Their needs need to be addressed. We need to kind of respond to what they're telling us. These days, because of our new statuses, we can't be just in the car, woo, woo, woo. No. We have to get them from this cover, walk in this community, meet those people, and interact and talk to them. I think that's one thing. We need to go back to our roots. We need to go back to engaging Liberians and making them feel a part of this thing. To D-Flow, to every member of this organization. I will tell you this, since I've been with this organization, a lot of people have fell off. A lot of people went down the wayside. We want to appeal to all of you guys. I will tell you this, your opinions are respected. D-Flow is never an enemy. D-Flow is a brother. Every member of this organization, some people resign with acrimony. Some people resign with bitterness, with anger. We want you to come back. We are brothers. We can disagree, but it don't change the fact that we are brothers. This retreat, D-Flow, I want to extend, I will send you an official invitation, official. So every former member can come back so that we can all sit down and disagree to agree and see how we can move it. Because at the end of the day, Liberia is what we all have a stake in. George Weah cannot run Liberia independently. He cannot run it. This is not a one-man show. Every hand is needed on deck. So, Mr. D-Flow, I want to appeal to you. Please come back home. Every former member of this party, I want to appeal to all of you hearing the sound of my voice. Please come back home.
Ben, are you using our platform for your publicity? You will pay for that?
Thank you, sir.
All right. That was.
Ben, has you been back on board? What are you willing to change? The thing that drove them away. So what are you willing to change?
No, we will. This retreat is for recommendations. This is a listening retreat. People are asked to bring all the things they have on their plate. Those recommendations will be sorted out. They will be assembled, and there will be definite spell out goals in terms of making sure that some of those recommendations that will be put on the list will be reacted upon.
Then we have recommendations upon recommendation, and nothing has happened. One of which is the most recent one from Mamba Molo, and then the audio tape came out. I don't know where that is right now, but we have to leave it right there. We have to leave it right there, Ben.
Let us be the last straw.
All right, D-Flow.
Yes, sir.
You have been invited. Close.
Thank you, my brother. I have a respect for the brother. He looks like a mature person. And I think these are the kind of people the party needs. People who will come on board and understand where people stand and not insult them because they disagree with the status quo or disagree with the Georgia and the citizens. There are some great people in the CDC, but majority of them believe that when you speak against Georgia, you went for a job or you are gay. Because you did not get the job, so you are gay. I live in Minneapolis. I've been here for more than 20 years. No person in Minneapolis can say D-Flow is gay. And no person can tell you that D-Flow is an unemployment. I have those two things that nobody can speak against. You cannot speak against those two things on me to say those things can be on my record. But thanks, my brother, for the invite. You said a good, the bad, and the ugly. The only good thing I can see in the CDC is that they have human beings. But the bad is, they are a bunch of incompetence. The ugly is their leader is unfit. He's completely unfit. That's the ugly part. Because when you have human beings and they are incompetent and their leader is unfit, what do you have? When you put them together, you have the major. It will be the neutral tail law. The opposite, the reaction will not be neutral tail law this time around. It will be the same reaction. Incompetence. An incompetent leading incompetence. So I will not socialize because I know where I came from. I know where I came from. I must hang out with people who are willing to stand up for the country. Everything I do in Liberia, I said to you, I was invited by Ellen Johnson in 2015 to go to Liberia. I didn't take ticket from Ellen. In our same trip, I bought ticket and went to Liberia. The same way when Samuel Toure invited me to go to Liberia, I bought ticket $2,400 to go there for 1 week. Samuel Toure is the reason, one of the reasons why I left CDC. I don't like disrespect. I might be so tiny. I might not have the biggest platform like Henry Costa or Prophet Key or Sekou and all the other guys that can pull thousands of people. But when they were not around, we were here. We were here. We did this thing. We started the process. So there is nothing good about the only thing they have human beings. But the bad, they are incompetence, bunch of incompetence, and their leader is willing to take bunch of them because he does not want, he has no iota of governance a country. He comes from an arena that is soccer. I am a former goalie. I played soccer throughout my high school. Between the pole, they used to call me flying saucer. I was good at flying. I used to fly.
I heard drop bucket.
Yeah, I used to fly. No drop bucket. No. That is why I was in Zaza district because I grew up. I was born in Monrovia.
But Tamba can play that one in Foya.
No, this time I play in Upper Zaza district. I was born in Masurado, but at age 2, my mother took me and my senior brother who passed 1993 in Grand Passa to Lofa County. That is at our adopted county. I then lived in Zulu, it's in Zaza district, but I'm not from Lofa County. Originally not from Zulu, but I lived there. It is Zulu that helped me to be a man. So I give them credit. That's why every time I come live, you either hear me talk about Zulu or Bokonima, because my grandfather came from Bokonima in Bon County. So I love the two towns. Now to the issue. My brother Ben, thanks for the invite. And I think Georgia should commend men like you who is willing to reach out to somebody like me. Not to say, D-Flow, you went there for job. When you called me the last time, I explained to you what happened between Samuel Toure and I. He kept inviting me, and I said, let me take honor his invite without asking him for money. When I arrived in Liberia before leaving, I sent him a text that about to purchase my ticket. And he said, I will be in Liberia. I will not take any international trade. I'll wait for you. Because I have to make sure we see one another.
D-Flow, did he promise to reimburse you?
He promised to send me money, and I told him not to. I have the text. I can share it with you guys.
Please do.
He sent me the text. He asked me in Liberia for me to stay and extend my ticket. I said, hell no.
D-Flow, send it. Let's put it on the screen.
It's in this phone here. It's in this phone here. Samuel Toure asked me, stay, I will extend your ticket. I did not have him to purchase me ticket. He said I should stay. You can ask his office staff. I think his name is Cletu. Cortes or Ketu Noah or something like that.
But that's what we want the government to do, to reach out to competent people to be a part. I don't think there's any bad thing about that.
No, there's nothing wrong with hiring competence. I say in a society, when you come to state power and you want to succeed, you hire competent people. Don't think about
reach out to you and you are making a big deal of it that you know, as if they were doing something wrong.
Say that again. You interrupted.
I said they reach out to you and you are making it to look like they were doing something wrong.
No, go back.
Then we have to go. Let leave it right there. Dennis, we have to go. Let leave it right there.
Your echo is coming in late.
Yeah, it's okay, D-Flow. Let leave it right there. Gentlemen, even though, Ben, you make your closing statement, but something funny. Have you heard about ice cream, Ben? Yes or no?
Yeah.
You heard about ice cream? All right, I just wanted to know. D-Flow, you heard about ice cream?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And not just ice cream alone. There are so many of them that we can speak of.
Oh, there are too many ice creams?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
From general ministry to national, to NSA, all over the place.
All right.
Ben does not know about those other ice creams.
Well, I do. I do now.
Gentlemen, we want to thank you so much.
Leave it right there. Gentlemen, we have to leave it right there. At this time, we want to say a very big thank you to you from here, Focus on Liberia, for honoring our invitation and being able to answer our questions. We are very convinced the audience to also appreciate you honoring our invitation. Folks in cyberspace, thank you for their time. We appreciate you. We are coming to the end of our broadcast. We will now bring in Dennis Jar to close us. Dennis.
Tomorrow at 7 p.m., we're going to be having a ladies' night here on FOL on current, and that's not the regular ladies' night, but that's on current issues. You have some ladies, Mile from the opposition bloc, who's going to be here tonight to discuss current issues, because people are telling us that they are not hearing more ladies in our political discourse. So we're going to bring on the ladies. And then on Tuesday, watch out, is the Hour of Politics with our Periscope series that will be periscoping the ruling party and the government right now in power. Until then, we want to say thank you, guys. Thank you to all our listeners, those who are watching us on television. Keep supporting us. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and do your best to keep your dial right here on Focus on Liberia, where we educate, we promote and elevate all things Liberia. Until next time, my name is Dennis Jar, and I will say good night and God bless you.
Where's the drum?